Hello, welcome back. In this video, you'll see that we have moved on to the forms for the stem wall pour here at the Brooks project. This video is the second video in a series that we will be doing and try to capture all the phases of a complete house build. So the footing went well. That's all poured. Our steel is in, and we are now moving on to making sure that our forms are all plumb and aligned. And you'll see me here with the grade rod and the transit going around and checking the elevations of the forms to make sure that when we pour this stem wall, it's nice and level all the way around. So the additional amount of formwork that you see out in the dirt, basically out in the middle of the footprint of the house, that formwork is there to receive mud that will now shape and form up what's known as grade beams, which will run under the walls and the post and beam system that will be supporting the load of the floor system from above. More on that later. Here you'll see Jason and I installing turnbuckles on these braces, and for this process this allows us to make fine adjustments to bring our wall into line with our string lines. You'll notice throughout this video that we're using strings everywhere. We use string line to find center of certain post and beam connections that are yet to come. We use string line to make sure walls are plumb, and other times that our forms are straight and lined. And as carpenters we call a string line a dry line. The opposite of the dry line would be a chalk line. Not necessarily wet, but it has chalk on it. The way that you properly tie off your string line is usually done with a lark's head at one side and an engineer's knot on the other side. And when you crank down on these strings, you can pull them so tight that it will sound like a fiddle string or a guitar string. And then you know that you're not sagging at all. And if there is any sag to that string, it's no more than a 1/16 of an inch at best. The way this string is engineered is meant to stretch far beyond that of a normal cotton string. And anyway, if you're not familiar with using string line to do formwork or do framing, don't be afraid. Go pick up a spool and start working on your knots. One more thing I'll add to tying string line is that if it doesn't make your hand or your fingers feel like you might be about to cut yourself, then it may not be tight enough. Jason and I have gone around the entire stem wall, and we have shored everything up, checked our string line all around, And we're getting very close at this point to being ready for mud.
I think we can pull that out with that.
Oftentimes a foundation doesn't look like much, but there is an absolute ton of pre-planning, site preparation, and processes that have to be understood just to get to this point we're in now. For instance, you can see the water main sticking up. Jason had to dig a trench that was very deep, about 200 feet, to get all this power and water in. And that's just one of many smaller movements that absolutely must happen before we pour this slab. And so here you can see the mud has arrived. We will work right up until the moment the pump starts spitting mud, and that's pretty regular for most days on a concrete pour. You can never be too sure about your measurements, never too sure about your layout, never too sure about your walls being aligned, your forms being secure, and there was nothing different about this job site. You can see here we've stripped the forms, and this of course is after the stem wall has cured. It turns out nice and square, straight and level. We had a couple areas in the very back where the form heaved a bit, and on the southwestern corner we had a little bit of movement in our form there. But all in all, it's a very clean job. Looks very nice. Well, it's obvious and paramount that the architect and the engineer need to be on the same page in regard to their plan set, no pun intended. And it is also important that the building department, before they stamp a set of plans, has ample time to look over all the inconsistencies and incongruencies and be able to make adjustments or fixes as needed before any of the building starts on a project. In our case, there was some things that were missed, and there were some inconsistencies from one page to the next in our set of plans, from dimensions as given on the drawings and what the actual layout would be, and also the size of the footprint is different, as well as some of the beam calculations from page to page. That being said, as builders, it is our duty to professionally provide advice and to make adjustments as needed. These things do happen. So here you can see I brought out the old RoboVector and I shot elevations all the way around after we stripped the forms, and it was just about perfectly level all the way around, so I was very happy about that. And again, that's a testament to using string lines properly when building forms. And here you see some of those Hardy-Backer forms that will help to bring the rest of the mud up to the surface of the slab at those structural load-bearing points. Jason did an excellent job of backfilling the foundation, compacting all the gravel, and then also managing to help John, the plumber, get his underfloor plumbing in. They got the inspection, insulated everything with 3-inch rigid foam, and as you can see here, wire mesh, which also is laid over the vapor barrier and connected to the PEX piping system that will become the hydronic floor heat inside the house.